Nor was a young man living in a fantasy world. He was strong for his age and well-liked by everyone in the town. He had a job that required hard work, and even his boss was impressed by him. His boss never had anything bad to say about Nor because he was the best worker he had ever seen. One day, after getting his daily pay, Nor was about to head home when he suddenly heard a woman screaming for help from a nearby cave. Without hesitation, he rushed over, ignoring his boss's warning that it could be dangerous. Inside the cave, he saw a girl wrapped in magical barbed wire while a group of adventurers fought a giant demonic bull. Since Nor was a child, he had to take care of his sick mother and their home. He took on the responsibility bravely, making hot soup for his bedridden mother and telling her he would hunt rabbits so they could have some meat for dinner. His mother would clean his face and apologize for not being able to give him anything, but Nor always put on a brave face and told her he didn't need anything else. One night, he prepared a hearty rabbit stew for his mother, but when he came back to feed her, she had already passed away. The next day, after taking care of the animals, Nor got ready to leave his home and head to the city to become an adventurer. He spent the night in the forest with a campfire and arrived at the beautiful city of this kingdom the next morning. Entering through the giant main gate, he was amazed by the number of people in the markets, selling and buying everything from swords to fruits. While walking, Nor noticed a man with a sword and had decided to follow him, which led him to the Adventurers Guild. When he entered, he was surprised to find a big, burly man at the reception instead of the girl he imagined. Disappointed, Nor told the man he wanted to be an adventurer. The man dismissed him, saying this was no place for kids and asking about his parents. Nor replied that his parents were dead, which caught the man's attention. The burly man then told Nor to go to the training school first. Nor was confused, but the man explained that to join the guild, he needed to pick a school, go through basic training, choose his class and skills, and only after graduating could he become an adventurer. Nor was happy to get the information and excitedly headed to a school to become the strongest swordsman. He enrolled and started training in swordsmanship, but even after several weeks, while other students began to show their magical abilities, Nor still had none. He kept practicing and months went by. Finally, the instructor told him he didn't have the talent and was wasting his time. He suggested Nor join a different school as he wasn't fit to be a swordsman. Nor didn't give up. He found another school and decided to train as a warrior. He started training under a big red-headed man. After several months of intense training, the redhead told him he didn't have the talent for it either, as all he had learned was how to parry attacks. Nor tried several different schools. First, he trained as a hunter but got kicked out. Then he tried to become a thief but was rejected for lacking talent. He then attempted to become a magician but failed at that too. Finally, he decided to become a healer, but he failed and returned disappointed. The fatty was shocked to realize that after spending months at every school, he hadn't learned anything. He was told that he couldn't become an adventurer. Feeling disappointed, he left the city and went back to his cottage in the woods. But he refused to give up. He made his own training setup with a sword and focused on perfecting the one move he had learned, parrying and deflecting attacks. He practiced day and night for a year and became strong enough to parry 10 attacks at once. He kept training, and after 3 years, he could parry 100 swords at once but didn't learn any new skills. He continued his training tirelessly until his sword broke. 14 years passed, and he realized he had trained every single day. Now he could parry 1,000 swords at once without fail. Despite all his hard work, he still hadn't gained any new skills. He decides to head over to the Adventurers Guild once more this time and meets a young girl who looks at his skills and suggests he go to a training school. Nor tells her that he's already been to all of them, which surprises her. She tells him that he doesn't have any skills to become an adventurer. Nor gets disheartened again. When the fatty comes out and barely recognizes him, they sit down to talk over some beer. Nor shares his training story from the past years. The fatty explains that adventurers are ranked from E to S, and even to be an E-rank adventurer, you need at least one skill, which Nor doesn't have. Nor feels sad, but the fatty tells him that there is another rank below E called F. F-rank adventurers can't take kill quests or work in the forests outside the city. They can only do odd manual labor jobs in the city. To his surprise, Nor immediately accepts this and finally gets his adventurer's license. He starts doing odd jobs around the city, like carrying heavy loads and finding lost cats, and keeps training every night. He also takes nursing jobs and takes care of old people by cooking for them. While doing all this, he continues to train and is happy working as an adventurer who can actually help people. We return to the present, where a giant bull charges at the adventurers and smashes their leader with an axe, sending him flying into a wall. Nor quickly checks on him but finds that he is dead. He sees the other adventurers being killed by the bull effortlessly, one by one, until the bull's eyes land on a white-haired girl. Nor's body reacts immediately. He throws a rock at the bull to distract it and then runs away. The monster chases him with surprising speed, and Nor realizes he can't escape. He turns around and parries the bull's attack. To his surprise, the parry is so strong that the bull is blasted into the wall. The bull quickly recovers and jumps through the dust to attack Nor again. Nor parries the attacks over and over, knowing that if he misses even one, he's as good as dead. He looks for an opening to strike, but realizes he doesn't have any offensive skills to land an attack. His sword starts chipping, but then the demon turns its attention back to the girl and rushes towards her. Nor quickly uses his feather step ability to increase his speed and appears in front of the bull, deflecting its attack at the cost of his own sword. He remembers his father saying that an adventurer defends the weak even at the cost of their own life. Despite having a broken sword, Nor stands his ground. When the monster attacks again, Nor parries with all his might, deflecting the axe so strongly that it chops the head of the bull cleanly before getting stuck in the rocks. The girl is utterly shocked as blood splatters everywhere, but the magical restraints on her disappear. Nor falls to the ground, looking at his shattered sword and thinking about how close the call was. The girl immediately thanks him for saving her life and asks his name, but Nor replies that his name isn't worth remembering and walks away. As he walks through the streets, he thinks about how he almost got killed by a giant bull, and realizes he needs to train even harder if he truly wants to become an adventurer who can protect people. After Nor left the dungeon filled with the white-haired woman's guards, she turned out to be Lin, a girl from a noble family. Her personal guard arrived and saw scientists inspecting the dead Minotaur, while Lin's guards lay dead, covered by white cloth. She apologized for not being there to protect them, but Lin told her not to worry, as it wasn't her fault. Later, a man named Darchin arrived and asked Lin if she was okay and what had happened. The news of the attack reached her brother, Reen, who was shocked to learn that his sister had been attacked by such a monster. He asked Darchin if he had any idea why a Minotaur was on the surface when it should be deep in the dungeons. Darchin bowed and explained that it was definitely an assassination attempt. They found out that the ring Lin recently bought from a merchant contained a mana stone with 90% purity, which is extremely rare. This was the reason the Minotaur attacked her group. Rain was still confused, not understanding why a Minotaur would want a mana stone. Darchin revealed that he believed the mana stone was cursed by the neighboring enemy kingdom of Derry, known for practicing dark magic. Reen agreed with this, as Derry's army had been harassing them on the outskirts, and now this bold attack on Lin showed that they wanted war. Reen then asked Darchin about the man who saved Lin's life, but Darchin said they knew nothing about him, except that he killed the Minotaur with his broadsword in minutes and left quickly without even telling Lin his name. The next morning, Nor went to the guild as if nothing had happened. Fatty immediately approached him, asking if he was okay. Nor was confused, so the man explained that a deadly monster had appeared in the caves near his construction site and he was worried about Nor. Nor had no idea the man was talking about the Minotaur he killed last night. He thought it was just a low-level cow monster. Fatty told Nor he was lucky to have left beforehand because even a former A-rank adventurer like him couldn't have done anything against such a strong beast. Nor wiped the dirt from his face, wondered what kind of monster it could be that even an A-ranked adventurer was afraid of, and thanked God that he only faced a giant cow. Nor asks what happened to the monster, and Fatty replies that some mystery man killed the beast with a single blow. This shocks Nor as he wonders how strong that man must be to defeat such a monster, not realizing he is the one Fatty is talking about. Later, Fatty gives Nor his pay for the day but advises him to get a real job to earn more money. Before Nor can reply, a hooded figure appears behind him, calling out to him. He turns around to see the white-haired girl he saved the day before and asks how she found him. She apologizes for following him and explains that she used her long-distance detection skill. Nor asks if she learned it from the thief schools, but she says she's from the magician branch and has skills in all 6 branches. Lin notices they're drawing too much attention and asks Nor if they can talk somewhere more private. Before he can reply, Fatty grabs him and asks what he did. Nor insists he did nothing wrong, while Lin sets up a soundproof barrier and asks him to come with her. They leave the guild and walk to a desolate area, where she thanks him for saving her and many citizens' lives. Nor, unaware of his strength, says she is talented and he must have ruined her plans by intervening. She assures him that's not true. Without his help, she would have died. Lin then says she wants to reward him for his help, but Nor immediately replies that her gratitude is enough. Lin, not easily deterred, tells him she is a person of status, and that even her father wants to thank him personally. He refuses, shocking Lin, who can't understand why he would refuse a reward from a noble. She asks if anything is troubling him and offers him land, but Nor keeps rejecting her offers. He tells her he doesn't need anything from her, which makes her tear up as she feels obligated to repay him. She insists she won't move until he accepts her gratitude, reminding him of when he did the same to an instructor from the healing school branch. He finally agrees to meet with her father but refuses any extravagant rewards. This makes her happy and she uses magic to conceal both of them as they walk through the city back to her mansion. When they reach her house, Nora is completely shocked, having never seen such a big and lavish place. They walk past the guards and enter while Nora wonders if this girl is a noble given her wealth. On the way, they run into her personal guard, Ains, who looks at Nora suspiciously and asks who he is. Lin tells her that this is the man who saved her life and Ains immediately softens, saying she will take them to the Lord. They follow Ains through the gallery, where Nora spots a guy in yellow armor by the window. The man immediately jumps into action, spinning his lance and pointing it at Nora, demanding to know who he is. Ains tells him to back off, saying Nora is Lin's guest, but the man, Gilbert, mocks Nora for looking poor. Ains introduces Gilbert and asks him to accompany them into the room as she still doesn't fully trust Nora. They wait outside the hall where Lin's father, Clay, is talking to his son about the increasing chances of war. They remember their last meeting with the king of Derry, who insulted them and threatened war if they didn't grant access to all the dungeons in their kingdom. Soon, the door opens, and they all enter the hall. Both Gilbert and Ains drop to one knee in front of their lord, but Nora, not knowing who the man on the high seat is, simply walks ahead without care alongside Lin. Lin introduces Nora to her father, saying he is the man who saved her life. The lord immediately gets up, moves toward Nora, and thanks him for saving his daughter. Nora tells him he is not a noble and has never talked to nobles before, so he doesn't know how to behave properly. The lord laughs and shakes his hand, telling him to choose any reward he wants. Nora immediately declines, saying he doesn't want land or gold. The lord is confused but offers half the treasure of the oldest dungeons in the world, which is worth more than a small country's. To their surprise, Nora refuses this as well, saying he doesn't want any gift from them. The lord looks confused about what kind of man would refuse such a gift. He then walks over to his seat and takes out a giant black sword that used to be his personal weapon during his adventuring days. Rien looks a bit worried, but his father reassures him that the sword should be used in battle, not kept as a decoration. He hands it to Nora, who grabs the handle and immediately realizes the weapon is heavier than anything he has ever used. Thinking it's just a random secondhand sword, Nora decides to accept it quickly so he can get back to work. Clay asks him to swing it once, and to everyone's surprise, Nora uses one hand to swing the sword so strongly that it creates a wind blast. Nora looks at the lord and says it's a bit heavy but manageable, which makes Clay laugh in disbelief at seeing someone swing a two-handed greatsword with one hand. Clay then asks if Nora would like to train Lin, as it's getting very dangerous nowadays. This makes Lin smile, but Nora immediately declines, saying he has nothing to teach her, and decides to leave. As they walk through the gallery, Nora looks at the sword again and realizes it's the same size as the drainage ditch, which means he can use it to scoop out dirt more efficiently. Before he can leave, Gilbert stops him by putting a lance to his face, saying he wants to see if Nora is worthy of the sword. Nora wonders if he'll ever be able to leave the mansion and get back to work. Upon entering the training room, Gilbert announced that he had brought an adventurer for a mock battle, causing concern for Nora, who hadn't had a training partner in a long time and wasn't sure how to react. Addressing Nora as the hero, the Lancer invited the newcomer to choose any weapon he liked. Nora then picks a wooden sword and got ready for the duel. Gilbert attacks first, thrusting his staff at Nora, who easily dodges the strikes. Nora can see how effortless and efficient Gilbert's moves are, showing how much he is trained, but for some reason, Gilbert appears to be moving very slowly to Nora. He believes Gilbert is just holding back his strength out of consideration for a novice like him. Nora calls a timeout and tells Gilbert he doesn't need to hold back so much. So Gilbert decides to get serious. He launches his attack at a much higher intensity, but is still not fast enough to overwhelm Nora, who finds openings in Gilbert's defense every time he misses an attack. On the other hand, Gilbert is frustrated that his strikes are not connecting with Nora. He decides to use a special move, changing his trajectory at the last moment to force Nora to jump, then using that chance to strike him down as he lands. Despite this, Nora is able to dodge the attack and asks Gilbert to increase the pace even more because he is comfortable with the current intensity. Hearing this hurts Gilbert's ego, as he is already using his full abilities. Nora finally realizes that he might actually be stronger than Gilbert. Suddenly, Gilbert uses his special move on Nora. The attack comes dangerously close, but when the dust settles, Nora is not in front of Gilbert. He had dodged the attack and moved to the side. After seeing the destructive power of Gilbert's attack, Nora immediately declares that he no longer wishes to fight and leaves the palace. His skill causes an uproar among other knights who can't believe he dodged their captain's special attack. Some believe Nora only survived because Gilbert was using a practice spear, thinking a genius like Gilbert could easily defeat anyone he wants to. Hearing those words takes the depressed Gilbert down memory lane. He was always talented with his spear and traveled all around the kingdom seeking powerful people and defeating them. There was no one who could give him a proper challenge, and Gilbert got bored. He went to the capital and joined the knights to fight monsters, thinking they were stronger than humans. However, even monsters were no match for his strength and skill, and his boredom persisted. On a flashback, as he was lazing around, the master of the sword school came to see him. This was the same master who had trained him in his early days. Gilbert ranted about how boring it is to be so strong and wished there were more people as strong as the master so he could have fun fighting them. The master only told him that someday someone who will surpass him would emerge among his students. Gilbert hoped that person would appear while he was still alive, because that might be the only way to relieve his boredom. Now thinking about the man who killed a minotaur with a single strike, Gilbert's mind is full of conflicting thoughts. He knew from the first moment that Nor was an interesting person, but couldn't sense anything remarkable about his strength. However, when they sparred, he found that Nor was much stronger than he looked. When Nor told him to go even faster, he used his special attack, which was faster than the speed of sound, knowing full well that no human could survive it. When Nor dodged the attack, Gilbert felt defeated. To top that off, Nor ended the fight, which Gilbert believes was to avoid embarrassing him in front of his troops. Before leaving, Nor told Gilbert he was looking forward to their next meeting, which was Nor's way of telling him to get stronger. Gilbert thinks he has finally found someone who can make his life a bit more fun. On the other hand, Nor has no idea how highly Gilbert rates him. He had used his body strengthening and feather step skills to evade the ultimate attack at the last moment. If he had been even a moment late, he would have died. He thinks Gilbert adjusted the speed of his attack on purpose so that he could barely dodge it, and is grateful to him for showing that he still needs a lot of training. As promised, the next day the adventurer used his royal gift to clean the canals, which he did exceptionally well. This efficiency made him famous in the neighborhood, increasing the demand for his services. Despite his success with cleaning, he needed to stay away from his other job for a while since they were transporting soil near the dungeon where the Minotaur originated. With more free time, he believed his sword could help him serve the people in new ways, like placing the pizza in the oven or grilling a barbecue for the crowd. Nor could become a celebrity. The issue was that his fire skills were lagging. Despite practicing at several schools, all he could manage were low-level spells. In the midst of these thoughts, Lin suddenly arrived and approached the adventurer. Recalling when he had been reprimanded for treating the king like a buddy, he addressed the princess in the most formal manner possible. Lin immediately interrupted him and asked to be called by her nickname. She then informed him that Annis had told her where he was, so she had come after him. With this, the boy realized that Annis had a knack for finding out where others were, even though he had never told her where he was going. Lin then asked to be his page, but he had no idea what that meant. She explained that it was someone who took care of another person's daily tasks while learning techniques and knowledge from them, like an apprentice or assistant. Without a second thought, Nor declined the proposal, thinking he had nothing to teach the girl and didn't need her help for anything since he knew how to do everything himself. Lin argued that her family would pay him a generous instructor's salary, but he didn't care about that. Not giving up, the princess said she would do anything for the boy, but he was serious when he said he saw no use for her. Almost in tears, she promised she was willing to do anything to prove she could be useful. To make her point, she pulled out her wand and cast a spell of ice spears. As soon as the spears hit the ground, she summoned flames that melted the ice. She said this was her most promising skill, the Hellfire. Lin also found the mist blade quite powerful, as it sliced an immense tree in half without the boy even noticing her. Her thief class instructor, known as the Divine Shadow, had taught her this technique. But it didn't stop there. Lin drew a radiant sword and executed the Divine Cut, slicing another tree vertically, an even more impressive feat. Proudly, she explained that this was the most formidable technique of a swordsman. Despite all this, Nor kept refusing the little girl. He felt insignificant next to all the abilities she had displayed and couldn't understand how she saw him as some kind of mentor. To show that he wasn't capable of much, he ignited his tiny flame and said it was the only magic he knew how to perform. Returning home exasperated, Lin pondered how this kind of inept warrior was just the type of legend instructors mentioned to motivate students. However, upon meeting Nor, she realized this occurred in reality. She recalled when Oken taught her the tiny flame technique. The mage had augmented the fire and explained that even the feeblest spells could become more potent with practice. Intrigued, Lin practiced this technique relentlessly but never managed to enhance the flame as much as Oken had. This magic required substantial effort to develop, which is why she was astonished when Nor replicated this spell with a flame larger than Oken's, the greatest of the mages. At that moment, Nor explained that this level of skill was the same for the other 5 classes, which for him meant he was terrible. But Lin knew it was remarkable. Just as remarkable was the fact that Nor had battled a minotaur with a simple sword and never boasted about his strength to others. For this reason, Lin saw him as a strong man, both physically and mentally strong enough to live independently, on his own terms. One day, the princess would rule the kingdom alongside her brother and uphold the clay royal family motto. Those with royal blood must be strong. That was exactly what Lin aimed to achieve by being taught by Nor. With this in mind, she returned to the adventurer and declared that she would follow him wherever he went. This wraps up the third episode of I Parry Everything Recap. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching.